Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit or Zabby here, back again with Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Season 1. We are on episode 21, and according to a few people, this is where the story actually starts to kick on now. So yeah, I'm excited for that, especially because we've had such a long sort of waiting period between Complex episodes with the amount of standalone episodes that we were getting. And it's nice to get back to sort of, the actual Complex stuff with the Laughing Man and everything like that. Now, for the whole thing of like kicking on, I can see why, because everything leading up to this point, or everything leading up to last episode, the standalone episodes speak for themselves, right? They're not to do with the Laughing Man, so, they do their own thing. But the Complex episodes, the last episode, it always felt like that we weren't actually getting anywhere. That, everything with the Laughing Man was more like hearsay and rumour and, well, what could be. There was nothing like to really grasp onto or like to give us a sort of heading and which way we should be really going, or anything to really like theorize about almost, because it was just like, well, it could be anything, you know what I mean? So in that sort of respect, it was like kind of infuriating just not getting anything. I suppose episode 11, I believe, the previous Complex episode, not obviously episode 20, but the one before that, where Tagusa goes into the sort of the asylum facility place. There was a bit there, you know what I mean? It was an interesting sort of episode. We didn't really get anything much to grasp onto, but there was a little bit, you know what I mean? You could see the light start to approach from the end of the tunnel with that episode. But it was last episode 20, that, was... you can see it start to pick up now. Like, we actually have something that we can grasp onto now. And as I was talking about in the discussion for last episode, I'm almost, from that episode anyway, I'm almost thinking that, the Laughing Man isn't actually all that bad. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's somebody that is going against the government, which is corrupt and everything like that. We got a real, obviously, sense of the government, or at least the Ministry of Health anyway, that sent in people to retrieve that that folder for the what they call cyberbrain sclerosis, something like that, however you pronounce it. Still can't get it right, but yeah. So there was a list of obviously the recipients of this so-called vaccine that has not been given to the public, but those that are in high standing can, they can feel free to obviously go and use it and everything like that. So it's a very, obviously, it's a horrible sort of idea. Obviously, I was talking about and relating it to our world, where some people, the conspiracy theory obviously being that there is actually already a vaccine for cancer. There is something, that can actually, stop cancer from spreading, everything like that. But, the government hasn't given it out yet. So that's obviously a conspiracy theory that is in our world. Whether it's true or not, don't know. That's why it's a conspiracy theory. But it does, like, obviously have that element of it where the government is totally corrupt and that they're not giving it to the out to the public for whether it's purely monetary gain, because obviously the different sort of medical procedures, I guess, they go through to try and stop it from happening, gives them a bunch of income, and they obviously don't want to take that away by putting this vaccine out into the into the public. But yeah, so we had Tagusa obviously basically doing all of the work. The other members of Section 9 aren't really, it's like they don't have anything to go on, but I kind of just, it's like the Major is letting Tagusa do his own thing. I leave him to his devices to actually, have a look at and sort of do his detective work on the whole thing, which is nice to see. I think I actually got that wrong last episode when I was watching. I think I supposedly thought that the Major was actually sort of, like, so that, like, the likes of Aramaki was actually in the know of what Tagusa was doing. But I feel like when I was editing it seems as though she was actually just allowing Tagusa to do that detective work and not mention it to Aramaki or anything like that, But I mean, they're in a tough place because they're in the sort of middle now. So we've obviously got the Ministry of Health and the government and the corrupt side of all of that. And then you've got the Laughing Man on the other side, who is seemingly going against them, because he obviously knows about that information about the vaccine and everything like that. And it seems that has a lot to do with it. and Section 9 are kind of in the middle, but because they're obviously a government outfit, they can't just, you know, turn against and have like a rebellion against the government. So it is definitely going to be an interesting sort of dynamic, I feel like, coming up in these episodes to come. So yeah, but first and foremost, we need to get Tagusa help, because nobody's been, like, people are just walking past him like he's not even fucking there. Such fucking psychopath vibes again, man. But like, yeah, I mean, hopefully, it seemed as though he was able to communicate to the Major and Aramaki that he was, you know, like, in bad shape. He did say something. I don't know whether that got through or not. I hope it does, because Tagusa is like my favorite character. So yeah, anyway, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so we're going to get in episode 21, see what we get. If you do want to go watch the actual reaction, link is in the description below, and there's also the link to the full length if you do want to watch it in full and not just the 10-minute cut version, then the offer is there for you. But yeah, nothing else to really talk about, so we're going to get in episode 21 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 21. Very, very cool episode. Very awesome. And yeah, I mean, people weren't wrong, I think, when they were saying that this is where it does really kick into gear, because I get a more, there's a picture being painted more of like the Laughing Man and what he's essentially trying to do. So I think from last episode, I believe that I was on the correct sort of path. The correct assumption being that the Laughing Man himself is not an evil person. He's just trying to out the whole government corruption that's going on. So it seems as though, I mean, he was, they were talking about with, the Laughing Man himself not being responsible for the previous acts that had happened, so the terrorist acts beforehand, and that it seems as though what was actually happening there was actually coming from the inside. My thoughts are that the government actually set them up as a sort of way to, use the Laughing Man so that the rest of the government sectors and everything like that would be focused on trying to sort of track down the Laughing Man and then eventually eliminate him, so they could actually just get rid of him and sweep it under the carpet. And I think that, so all the terrorist acts and everything that was previous were actually from, I think the government were heavily involved in them, you know what I mean? So that's the way that I'm thinking about it. It was a really cool like end of the episode there, with obviously Aoi being the kid, obviously from episode 11. That's who the guy was. And whether or not he truly is the Laughing Man, you know what I mean? Even he doesn't call himself that, and he never called himself that, so that's obviously a title that was given to him. Whether it be obviously the logo of what it actually looks like, you know what I mean, and then they just give the title the Laughing Man because of that. Whatever be the case, it was a cool end to the episode, and the thing is that whether that is his like sort of true body or what, or if it's I don't think it matters. I think what really, the big thing is the fact that he didn't even need camouflage or anything like that to be out of sight. It's just that he showed his hacking prowess again and hacked Bato like that, like it was easy as pie, and hacked him to just not see him at all. Like that's crazy, It's crazy that is what can be done. But then that was the whole thing. Like a big premise of obviously the show with cybernetics and everything like that is involved is that's a that is an issue, but I think obviously it's the eyes is not just from the fact of like Bato's eyes himself, but I feel like even Tagusa could be hacked because they all have that sort of cyber brain, at least like implant there, to be able to do that, you know what I mean? It hacks their perception of it, you know what I mean? Like when he's saying like when Bato is saying that you hacked my eyes, it's more of a case of he hacked his brain, and the perception obviously of his eyes being connected to his brain is why he wasn't able to see him. But keeping obviously on the cybernetics thing, Tagusa is going to be fine, though it seems as though they are pressing for him to, be equipped with sort of prosthetics to, I guess, keep him in stable condition. So I don't know to what degree kind of prosthetics he's actually going to get. It's going to be interesting to see how he takes it, though. Maybe he'll be fine with it, because it might just be obviously something like... The thing is, though, I remember when they were talking about it, the first time they talked about it, I think it was actually in episode 1, though I could be wrong. There was a thing, obviously, where I think the Major was talking to Tagusa, and Tagusa basically said, like... Or the Major had said something like, you opted out of having any real cybernetics and everything like that, that he was sort of I don't know if he was truly opposed to it, like, you know what I mean, like he just doesn't like any of it at all, but at the end of the day, if it keeps him, like sort of healthy and everything like that, then, that's fair enough. But yeah, I'm just very satisfied with the way that the episode went, like, you know what I mean, the mixture of, like, obviously the music and, like, the Major getting decimated by the guy in the suit. It was nuts, man. Like, I'm surprised, like, her fucking head wasn't just crushed, because I mean, fucking I don't know what the fuck she's made out of, but, like, the fact that obviously the weapon that he used to, like, essentially blow a hand off, I don't know if, like, that part of the body was, if it's made out of the same stuff, but the fucking floor gave way before her body did, But she was pissed as well. Like, you could see, like, the inner workings of her, where she was, like, cut off in a way, you know what I mean? Like almost like she was rebooting in a way, you know what I mean? Because of the trauma. But, like, it's sort of an interesting thing as well, because it's like before she, like, sort of went into that sort of stasis, it's like when she come out of it pissed, you know what I mean? Like, it was and I wonder if it's like deep down, I don't think it's a case of, like, her being, like, I don't think it's a case of, for example, if two people fight, right? Or, like, like somebody punches one person, right? So person A punches person B, right? Person B retaliates in anger and rage because he's just been punched by the guy, right? And that was the reason why. Let's say there's nothing like a specific argument where two people are verbally, but, like, somebody just gets punched out of nowhere. So it's just a physical fight, and the other person's angry and enraged because he just got punched, and that's the only reason why. I don't think that's the reason why the Major got pissed. I almost feel like she got pissed off because she was shut off, like, and she's angry at the fact that can happen. The interesting thing about that, though, is that if she was human, anything like that, she would be dead. So, I mean, well, she is human, but I mean, like, if she didn't have that sort of, those cybernetics to actually keep her from her fucking head being crushed, you know what I mean? But I feel like, because, we've seen in previous episodes that I feel like she's never really been, she's not been entirely happy with the fact of her cyborg body, because, she got given it when she was such a young age, and that trauma, I feel like, is something that has actually carried on, so that, like, that idea of her being sort of almost shut off for a moment, I think pissed her off more, you know what I mean? There's a bunch of different reasons of why it could be there. I just feel like that one's the most, like, heavy hitting. Of course she's gonna be pissed off and just wanting to fucking fuck this guy up because this guy's beating the hell out of her. But, and then there's obviously other reasons of, like, this corruption as well, so that obviously moral thing, which can also affect her that way. But yeah, I feel like the one thing that really pissed her off more was the fact that she was, like, shut off like you know what I mean. She was like in a reboot phase, like a computer, and I think she struggles with that sort of thing of being like you know. I wonder if she just feels of it like, because she has talked about like the you know, I mean, last episode 20 she mentioned the whole you know the ghost thing and everything, and that's something that's been gradually like being talked about more as the ghost, which obviously is just the soul kind of thing. And I wonder, it's just like if she because if she struggles with it so much, I'm wondering if she really like thinks to herself if she even has one, like at times, you know what I mean. And I feel like when obviously if she gets like in that shut off point like that she doesn't enjoy it and it really annoys her. I could be wrong. That's just the way that I kind of feel about it. But yeah. So what else? I mean, yeah, we got obviously the information that Ima Caruso, that he specifically stopped the whole Murai vaccine going through for like a petty reason of because this guy also tried like basically give all of his life to try and find a vaccine for it, but because this one guy got it first, he stopped it for that. That's a fucked up thing, that, man. Because you know the talk when they were in the room, there was obviously the talk about obviously the monetary gain for treatment that doesn't work. So I was right in that in the pre-discussion when I was talking about how it's like they get money from giving out treatment that doesn't really work, or it doesn't cure anything. It just like either prolongs the inevitable or it just doesn't work out right anyway. So yeah, it's similar in that regard to the whole relation to the cancer thing in our world that I was talking about in the pre-discussion. You know, but whether that obviously that gain was for other people, primarily the reason why he didn't put the Mirai vaccine through is just because he didn't like the fact that someone got there first. It doesn't matter now because he's dead anyway. You know, when I was reacting to it, I was wondering if actually that was the whole, like if the Laughing Man himself actually set that up. You know, I don't think so, but yeah, very very interesting anyway. And now the you know Bato's being given the original book, so the original recipient list. So that continues, obviously, you know, they're in on it now. Like, this is it. This is where Section 9, like, they have to not play by the rules that the government set out, put it that way. I loved Aramaki's a great character because, obviously, like, you're not going to obviously see him, like, be involved in the action, but the sort of behind the scenes and, like, him talking, like, to, you know, higher ups within, you know, certain sectors and everything like that, that like he really like knows what to say. You know what I mean? He's got a sharp tongue. That I love the fact that he actually said the thing that would put pressure on them. You know what I mean? Like to really like pressure the ministry. So, you know, he would say like, yeah, just so you know, like one of my guys was there. So it's just like giving them just like that, like you know, that inkling that you know, that they know that they're onto them kind of thing. You know what I mean? And it makes it puts them in a position where they can't, like, they'll end up thinking things through multiple times probably, and then, you know, it'll end up affecting them, I think, because the idea that, you know, we're onto you, they'll be trying to be so careful that they'll end up being too careful, and they'll end up slipping up because of being pressured, I feel like. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm excited. I was surprised by the fact that they actually got sort of like the, you know, the American Empire sort of reconnaissance team to actually help. Obviously, with previous episodes, it always felt like there was a bit of a like a thing with the American Empire where they're just not on great terms. But that whole thing of like, well, the CIA owe us that much, obviously from what that must be from the previous episode with the whole the when the CIA operatives came over, right, and they were being bastards and trying to get that guy assassinated, right, because they were trying to sweep shit under the carpet. I think that's what obviously they were referring to there, and it's nice when you get like the standalone episodes actually filter in to the actual story, you know what I mean? So that was, yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think that's all I've got. But I mean, the Laughing Man, I'm keeping on that, obviously, that theory that he's doing the right thing, and I think, you know, trying to out the corruption of the government and everything like that. I want to know what the initial true reasoning, like why he got on this path for. You know what I mean? I want to know why, like the specific reason. Because obviously, you know, I think I talked about it in episode 20 at some point when I was talking about how I wonder if it's something like a case of somebody he knew, or maybe himself, struggled with the cyberbrain sclerosis thing, and that, like, you know, and he figured out something obviously to do with the vaccine and how it wasn't given out for public use. And if, you know, if his body deteriorated, so he ended up going into somebody else's kind of thing, because obviously he's good at hacking. So I wonder if obviously he's done something where he's not in his original body anymore. But if it's something like that, or like somebody that he knew that ended up dying, or, you know, and suffering from it, that would be the initial reason. But, you know, if it ever comes out, I would like to know about that. But I think he does have this sort of just this righteousness of like wanting to do things, you know, and, you know, for the right reasons. And because obviously that I think that obviously it was confirmed that he really wasn't he didn't have anything to do with all the terrorist attack stuff. So I just feel like, yeah, I think he's a good guy. Very, very interesting, especially from, like, you know, when they start getting into the Laughing Man stuff, and it's like, oh, well, this is the guy that we're going to be tracking down, and he's the evil guy, and then it's like turned on his head. And you know, I always did have the obviously inclination from like episode 1 that it was a case of like, yeah, there's the people in power that are really using it for, you know, dastardly means. You know, it always, I feel like it always is the case. Like, you know, I mean, you get a feel for shows that really dive into the politics of things, that you know that there's always going to be corruption within it. So, you know what I mean? It's not like I didn't see this coming. I just didn't know if the Laughing Man was going to be I didn't know what title to give him, whether he was end up going to be an anti-hero or something like that. But it seems as though if there's anything that he is going to be, it's going to be mostly on the good side. So whether he's an anti-hero or not, ends justifying the means kind of thing, then, you know, I would assume that he would probably take up that role. If not, then he's just a sort of underlying hero, like somebody that does things from the shadows, you know, and basically never gets the spotlight, you know. But that's not really what he wants. You know what I mean? He's taking it down from the shadows, you know, and because you've got the likes of the government trying to combat that and do these terrorist acts to almost put him in a bad light. You know what I mean? Like he ends up being an unsung hero kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting, like having the Laughing Man be like. I wonder if it's going to be a thing that continues, where it's like, you know, for the end of this episode, where he gives obviously the, you know, the original thing over to Section 9, is like, I wonder if it's going to be like a sort of kind of like a partnership in a way, where like the Laughing Man will help Section 9. I feel like that there was this thing with 11. Now I wonder if it was episode 11 specifically where he figured that Section 9 was going to be the that was going to be like the sort of the organization that he can sort of use to help take down, like, you know, to battle against this sort of corruption and everything like that. You know, because I think that was the episode where he was where he did that like sort of back virus thing, so he got information about Section 9 and stuff, and he got access to all that files and stuff. I feel like that was, I think that was the episode anyway, episode 11, right, when he did that, and then obviously left the facility. But I think that was when he knew, like, right, this is like the people that I can, you know, that are going to, you know, the best people to help me kind of do it, you know. So yeah, going ahead, can't wait. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the next episode. But that is all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. If you do want to gain access to, well, episode 22 will be out as well for the public at the same time. But after you've watched that, if you want to gain access to episode 23 and 24, then you can do by becoming an early access tier patron over on my Patreon. It's $5 a month. That'll give you access to shows a week early. There's also the full-length tier if you do want to watch any of my reactions in full. And then there is the exclusive tier, which gives you access to movie reactions and things like that. So if you want to see my reactions to movies and everything coming very soon, then yeah, you can become an exclusive tier. There's also a link to the Discord in the description below. But yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.